What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Taft. I'm Steve Turnbull's partner here at the Make an Impact podcast. And as you know, Steve has an absolutely amazing mission to hear every single person's story and believes that every single person's story deserves to be heard. So today, I'm going to follow that same mission and introduce to you the story of Stephen Turnbull, the host of Make an Impact. And I have to say, after having this conversation, you're really going to want to listen. So with that, let's jump into today's episode. Here's Stephen Turnbull. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Make an Impact podcast with real stories, real people, and real impact. My name is Mike Taft. I'm an entrepreneur, husband, and soon-to-be father on a mission to empower individuals to share their stories so that they can make an impact on you. Today, in the hot seat, we have the host himself, Stephen Turnbull. And boy, am I excited to have this conversation, Stephen.
I don't like this, Mike.
Did you know this is coming up?
I like my seat.
Did you like the hot seat? This is what it feels like.
I know. I'm sorry for all the guests that we've had because I like sitting over there.
I think this is
just
the
for the
better
record.
seat.
Just for the record, I'm going to put something on record.
Yeah?
You wanted to plan this out, and I said, Mike, I want nothing to do with it. I don't want the planning. I want to just run with it.
Oh, yeah.
I want nothing to do with the plan. Let's just go into it. And this was your idea, so you're responsible.
This is true. So if this episode is bad, I want as many thumbs downs as possible. There's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah, but then if you do the thumbs down, just subscribe afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
Balance it out.
Actually, that would be great if you could subscribe. So, Stephen, even though you told me not to prepare,
This is weird.
I didn't listen at all, and I did.
Fantastic.
And I know that you have a very, very cool story that not a lot of people get to hear because you're so often asking everyone else, well, where are you from? What made you? And tell me about your story. So let's jump right in. What's your story? I know you have a very significant number, something like 147. What does that mean to you?
147, yeah. My story is, thanks to Mike Taft, I got through social studies in 8th grade. Mrs. Cook, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. 147. All right, we're going to go there. So I love this, and I've told people this a lot about school. And if you listen to the podcast, people have probably picked up on this, that I'm not a fan of the, how do I say this? Like the upbringing of like school of kind of like, you know, if somebody doesn't fit, you're just not fitting, right? If you're not good at math, you're not good at math and you get a D on your test and whatever. There was 100, I haven't said this publicly before, by the way. And I told Mike that there's no, he asked like, what do you want? I said, there's nothing off limits. And he's taking that serious. There was 149 kids in our graduation class of Clinton School in 2012. And I was 147. And I'll tell you a story about that. The only reason I know is because obviously they don't tell you, hey, you're the second dumbest kid in the class. Okay. Is we were doing career planning, all this stuff. And I did not like high school. I had a great experience. I made great friends, including you. We've been at it since kindergarten, which we talked about. It wasn't for me. I wanted to work on little projects. I have severe ADHD. I couldn't pay attention. You want to sit me in a class all day. It just wasn't for me. And I didn't really try. And I cheated on Mike Taft's test to get through. But cheating's not good, by the way. You shouldn't do that unless you need to pass the class. We were doing career planning with the counselor, and I remember looking over and seeing Stephen Turnbull 147 out of 149. No one ever told me, but no one needs to tell me. And I look back now at 31, and I'm like, man, something's wrong with that system. And I don't think I've hit the level of you're successful, right? I'm starting a business 4 years ago, and I'm just trying to make the damn thing work, and I'm blessed, and the Lord has done well by me with a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter and a house over our head and a business that can provide for us and an amazing team that helps our business grow. I haven't done anything remarkable, but I just like, look, I always think back at that 147. And so that's what that means. You're starting hot, baby. He's starting hot going into that. But, yeah. And so I just kind of look back at that and like, hey, something's wrong with that system, because if school isn't for everybody, it doesn't mean, you know, you're going to be a failure in life. You're never going to make it. And everyone has the stories of people saying, no, they're not going to make it. They're not going to do it. It's just like, some of those things aren't for people, you know? And, yeah, You came in hot, Mike. You came in hot. I love it.
I think that's a great answer. Now, you brought up a few things. And one is something that I really admire about you. You wear everything right on your shoulder. You're upset, you're going to let someone know. You really admire them, you're going to let someone know. And I think that's led to you making a lot of connections in your life. And I've also been privileged enough to have grown up with you and seen you persevere through different personalities as you were growing up. So why don't you walk us through a little bit of, who were you and who did you think you were going to be? And walk us all the way up to, did you ever think you'd be who you are now?
No. We were just talking about a verse in the Bible, and I can't remember the exact terms, but
what is it in your terms?
In my terms, it goes something along the lines of a man, leads his path until the Lord takes over and steers the boat, something along those lines. And you always have this idea in your life of like, this is going to be the perfect day. This podcast is going to be the perfect questions that you've prepared. This life is going to be this. I'm going to do this job. I'm going to do that. And I look back and like a lot of that didn't happen. And, I was born and raised in an entrepreneur family. My father has taught me more in life than he'll ever realize of just what it's like to provide for a family, work hard, and do well by others. And that's where it comes from is intentionally or unintentionally watching that as I was growing up. Right. And, I look back at what my plan was going to be is I went to I went to high school. I went to college. Thankfully, I met my wife junior year, so she helped me get through finishing college. But I look back at it and like the day after college, I graduated on a Friday. I came home Saturday and Sunday, and Monday I went to work for the family business. And it was always the plan. Today, I don't work for the family business. I have my own business. We can get into that if we want to. I'm an open book on whatever. But I look back at like the experiences in my life have brought me to where I am today. And if it wasn't for growing up in the entrepreneur household that I had and the leader of my father, this is what it's like to serve people, right? I grew up at the Rotary Club of Utica. I grew up doing the Thanksgiving meals. I grew up delivering food to the Hope House because he always brought my sister and I to those things. And I saw the service and the life of service that he has led through that, as well as the life of service of owning and operating a business and leading our family, through those things and what it looked like to understand that dad was still at the office at 6:30, on a nice summer night because he was working hard. And those are things that like I didn't realize until I realized them. But I think going back to your question, it's looking back at your life, like there's no perfect plan. And I think everyone gets so focused on like, I really like accounting. I'm going to go to school to be an accountant. And that's what I want to do. And then they leave college and have a great opportunity to start a business and they never use their accounting degree. And it's like, oh, well, this is just part of your plan now. And I think the detriment that you can find, folks, please, I'm 31 years old. I haven't figured this out, but I think the detriment you can find is when people get siloed in that thought process of this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do, and not allowing yourself to just roll with the punches and take the opportunities that present and trust your gut and respect those feelings that you might have of, I'm going to do this with my life. I'm going to go this direction, and I think that's, I just came off that term on top of my head, but I think like respecting that is what will change your mindset to just, this is part of my story and you just got to trust it. And it goes back to like the cliche of everything happens for a reason. But if you think about it in my life, like if I didn't start my own business, there's relationships that I've made that there's relationships that I made that I would have never made before. That are some of my best friends right now in life, that have made an impact on my family, that have made an impact on my business, that have made an impact on me as a father, as a husband, as a person, as a young adult. And so what a blessing that is that I made the decisions that I did, that I didn't make some decisions that I didn't to get me to where I am today.
You said I'm coming in hot. You're coming in hot. I think
it is hot in here.
I think that just goes back again to that wearing your life right on your shoulder. And you brought up several things in that case, but one that you brought up were major people that influenced you. You talked about your father a lot. Who are your biggest influences in your life? Biggest influences.
The biggest influences, I mean, my parents, my father from the state of the entrepreneur journey, but like my mother has taught me a lot about like leading a household now with being a young father and the sacrifices that she's made to provide for what she's done for my sister and I. So, I mean, my parents are certainly that. I'll tell you, the next person that comes to mind, my wife, Michaela. Like, not many people, I think, would be too comfortable with a conversation 3 months before your wedding that you're going to get married to this dude from Clinton and him coming home and saying, hey, I'm going to start this business and I have to do it now. I have a calling to do it now, and I won't bring an income home for about a year and a half, and we're just going to figure it out. And without hesitation, Michaela said, I got you, whatever we need to do. And so that's a huge influence. But I'll tell you, man, it past my family and the people I've mentioned, it's just the relationships that I'm blessed to have. Like, I look back at the people that I've been able to surround myself with, my personal friends, my business relationships that have become friends. Like, the cool part of what I do for insurance is like help people, and like we have a young team that's only been in the industry for about a year or 2 years. And I tell them every weekly meeting, I'm like, just remember that all we do is help people. If people don't want to work with us, like, that's fine. But we just help people. And through helping people, we create relationships. And there's clients that I would have never met unless they filled out a quote request form that I went to their wedding. There's clients that we go out and have a drink, or we talk all the time, or we talk about business or whatever. And yeah, they're clients of mine and they're helping me grow my life because they're helping me grow my business. But like, that mind shift change of just like the relationships are everything in life have been like the biggest influencers. I'll mention too of my grandfather, who unfortunately passed away when I was 5. I hope I'm getting that right. It's been cool because he's been a huge influencer and impactor in my life, without even being here. He had an incredible legacy in this area. Worked for, on boards of a lot of nonprofits, and with my family business being in the area and the last name being the name of the business, like, a lot of people would be like, oh, are you Jim's son, or are you Jim's grandson? And like, that's the coolest thing ever, because you say, oh, yes, I am. And like, hey, your grandfather and I worked on this project for Faxton Hospital 50 years ago, and what a great guy. And so, man, you're making me go deep here, but I've never really talked about all this, and I don't like sitting on this side of it, by the way, Mike, but you're doing great. I just think that's the coolest thing, is like the impact and the legacy. That would be the biggest, influencers in my life so far.
It's a fantastic answer. And one question that I have in there, and this is something that I would not have known to ask before I met my wife, but you said something when you were going through college, and you said, thank God I met my wife my junior year. She really helped me get through the rest of it. How? What did that look like? Because I bet that has a lot to do with how you ended up staying together.
She just did my homework.
See, but that sounds funny.
There's so much more.
But why?
No. She's just my best friend. We have every aspect of our life is a shared mission. And I think that's like just the coolest thing. There's nothing that's like, hey, I have this idea, and it's like, I go back to the business thing. Like, it would be very easy for a significant other. And mind you, I'm not saying this is the right or wrong thing, but like, we're planning this wedding. It would be very easy to say, hey, honey, why don't you wait until after that? Why don't we wait till after the wedding to see what our life's going to look like? Or why don't you get a job where you're going to make money for a year and a half? Like, I didn't take a paycheck because I was starting the business. And I think just a partner in crime. I mean, that was something that, like, you're in college, you're in high school, you're always wondering, like, what's that going to look like? Like, who's my spouse going to be, and what is that? What's that going to do to my life, and what direction will that bring me? And there was just a lot of clarity around that, I think, as we grew our relationship.
I think that's great. One thing that I've had a lot of young entrepreneurs ask me, and I think you'd be a great person to answer this, is did finding a person that you wanted to spend your life with and that support system share your missions together, did that help with your entrepreneurial career?
It's the ultimate hack. I know of entrepreneurs that, and again, there's no right or wrong. They just don't maybe have the support. Or we talk a lot about that on this show of like, man, there's entrepreneurs and there's not entrepreneurs, and that's fine. Everybody has a direction that what they want to do. But if you're not syncing and understanding, like starting business is freaking hard, man. Like, you know that. If you don't have that support, you're starting a business is starting a business is packing an overnight bag for a destination for years and getting dropped on an island. That's a good one. I just pulled that one.
That's a great one.
Right out of nowhere. But think about it. Like, and I say that in the sense of it's so lonely. Here I am, like we both knew we wanted to start a family. We're blessed with this baby girl that we have now. Here I am. I'm going to start this business. I have 0 clients. I have 0 income. I'm not going to be able to pull an income personally for this much time. And just saying, I'm going to do this with all these things in the back of my mind. If I had to do that alone, I don't know. I mean, I hats off to the people that do it, right? But I just think having that support system is to answer your question, it's the ultimate hack. If you don't, and for people that are watching, it doesn't have to be a significant other. You know, look at you and I. We just talked about it before we were recording. Like our relationship from literally kindergarten to now in our 30s with a kid here and a kid on the way and this and that. Like we just have fun. We were just laughing. We just had Santa Claus in here. Like we were having a good time and it's just fun. But like we're still supporting each other and we're calling each other. Are we ready for the episode today? Are we good with this? What questions should we ask? What should we do? Hey, are we good posting this? Like on our partners in this project. What if I was doing this alone? It wouldn't be as much fun. We wouldn't have the support.
No.
You know? And I don't know. What's the saying? I always say sayings on here and butcher them, but if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think that's it.
That's exactly
that's
it. I was
it.
thinking
But
of that exact same thing.
yeah, Michaela is not a partner in the business. She's not in the everyday. She's learned a lot about it because it's all I've done for 3 years around the clock to try to get this puppy going. But she's just my partner in life. And like that goes back to any relationship. Like find the sidekick, find the mentors, find the people that are going to surround yourself to want you to be better.
I think it's a great point. And the thing that you made me think about, and you've shared some things publicly that you hadn't before. I'll do the same thing. Is people don't realize, like, sure, the businesses that I've been involved in are working now, but for well over a year, Molly carried the team. She went to work. She worked overtime. She carried the bills, everything. And she's looking at me, this person that quit a high-paying job and decided, you know what? I'm going to go after the things that I feel called to in my life. A month after she met me, I literally moved out of the state that I met her in 2 months after meeting her.
Yeah.
And she was one of the biggest reasons that I felt valuable enough to do that thing and to pursue this.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being anywhere else now, and I wouldn't be there without her.
Well, and it's for the conversations we have every single week.
Yes, it is.
And that's the mission of what we're trying to do is like highlight the people that are doing cool things because there's always a story behind how, you were an Uber driver for the first 2 years of your business to pay the bills, or you got into debt because you had no other option to start the business, or you sacrificed all these things and sold the cars and whatever it is. Everybody, Mike, I say it all the time. Everybody has a story. Everybody's story deserves to be heard.
That's right. So now I have a kind of cool
And
question.
by the way, it doesn't have to be my story. I don't really like this. I like asking the questions.
Well, we like it, so keep it going.
Asking the questions.
Now, another question that kind of shifts the focus a little bit, which is you said, man, the plan never goes the way that I thought it was going to go. And you've been quoted several times saying, you always make a business plan, but you can count on throwing it out the window the second that the rubber hits the road. But a thing that you also said was, man, I may not take home any money for a year and a half when I was about to start T5. So do you think that most entrepreneurs that get started, do they underestimate how long, how difficult it's going to be before you actually start to make it?
Yeah, I mean, I would revise your question because make it is relative.
What do you mean by that?
What is make it for you? Is make it finally pulling money for the business, or is make it having a $10 million business with 50 employees that are doing great? I mean, everybody that I've talked to has underestimated what it is to start a business. I would say whatever you think it's going to be, multiply it by 4 or 5, and that's probably what it'll be. But I just think, I've talked about this before. The biggest thing that I think people do wrong is don't surround themselves with the right people. Like for me, T5 would I don't think we'd be in business if it wasn't for surrounding myself with the right people and the mentors that have pushed me in the insurance space, specifically the mentors that have pushed me outside of the insurance space, the mentors that, like I said, my family, my wife, whatever, the support system, like that's the key. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but as long as you have just the vision, you have the vision. We had a guy on the pod. I have another podcast. I know 2 podcasts. Good idea, Stephen, with a great friend of mine who's in the insurance space, and it's called the Scratch Agency Podcast. And we interview people that are starting agencies. And we did an interview earlier today with a guy down in Florida who started in 2006. He has one of the number 1 agencies production wise in the country. And he was talking about just empowering people. And where was I getting to with that? He was talking about empowering people. What was I talking about before that, Mike? The
mentorship.
The mentorship, and how he develops that in part of bringing on people. But like, if you don't do that for yourself from the get-go, that's where the mistake is. And this is where I was getting at. We're right back. I think the mistake is too that from day one, people always refer to themselves as a small business, right? It's just me. I just started this agency. I'm a small business, but you have to act like a bigger business. You have to have your process in place. You have to act, and it's not an act in a cocky sense, but you have to act of what you want to be. I got where I'm going. Vision. You have to have the vision. You have to have the vision. And this guy on the podcast today talked about when he brings people on, he says, Mike, this is not a job. This is a career. And you know what he does the first day?
What's that?
The entire day, he sits down with any new hire and they craft a life plan. They don't talk about insurance once, but that person has a vision. They know where they're going. And I think so many people just say, I'm really good at making cupcakes. I'm going to start a cupcake bakery. Great. What's the vision? Do you want 100 franchise locations, or do you want to be known as the best cupcake baker in Utica? There's no wrong answer, but what is the vision and how are you going to get there? And tying this into what you said, an entrepreneur, if I'm packing that overnight bag and I'm going out of that island and I'm sitting there the 3rd night with no food, wondering what the hell's going on, and I don't know what my next step is and how I'm going to get there, I'm going to quit.
So that's perfect, because I think that a lot of people have amazing talents. I think a lot of people have that same feeling that you just talked about of, I know that I bake the best cupcakes, period. So I should start a business. And they think, I've got to monetize this thing. That's how I'm going to get somewhere. But then you said, you got to have a vision. Basically, who do you want to be? And how does that calling fit into it? So my question to you is, how do people set that vision? How have you set yours?
My core value in my life, make an impact.
What are your core values?
Make an impact. It's a core value in my life.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I want to go back to the cupcake example, okay?
Do it.
So I don't want to be the best insurance person. I want to be the best insurance person that everybody loves because I'm making an impact on people, and I have an amazing team that helps everybody with their insurance needs. And I have an amazing team that loves their job, and I have an amazing team that helps each other. You know, we have a team of 3 right now. We're a small team. Today, one of our team members had a sick dog, had to go to the vet, called, what do you want me to do with this? I said, go take care of what you got to take care of. You know, at the end of the day, we always say goodnight on Teams because we have some virtual people. And it was like, hey, thank you so much for allowing me to step aside, to the entire team. Because what we did is there was 3 of us, there's now 2 of us, and we took the slack because that person had something going on, and that's bigger than what we're doing in the walls. What am I saying? The vision is to just simply help people for me. And I want to get back to, and to make an impact, I want to get back to the cupcake thing. If you are the best cupcake baker in the area, that does not mean that you're going to be the best cupcake business owner. If your vision is to make the best moist cupcakes that everybody loves, go find a bakery and tell them I'm the best around and I want to make your cupcakes and I want this. If you want to make an impact on people's lives and have a great bakery and be a business owner, then go that direction. There's no right or wrong answer. For me, I knew that insurance, I enjoy insurance. We protect people. What we do is so noble, right? People get into an accident and guess who they call first after the police or the fire department, right? But they, and we say, hey, we got you. We got you. You know why we got you? Because we know we set up everything properly. We've done our job. I love that. But what I really love is watching my team now do that, is watching my team now find fulfillment in that and growing the brand and growing T5 that, hey, we're not just here to take your insurance premiums and say, okay, have a good day. Good luck. See you later. No. We are here to make an impact. That's why our core values are around that. The core value, one of the core values in the business is make an impact. The other is extreme accountability. Extreme accountability creates trust among the team. We know that we're accountable to each other. We know that we're all going towards what? The same vision. Everybody on the team knows the vision. They know where we want to be. They know what we want to get to, and they know what they have to do to get there. If you don't do that, you got bad eyesight without glasses. I mean, that's like, that goes back to the business plan thing that we talk about all the time, is like, you can create this business plan, and I always say you're going to throw it out the door the next day. But if the business plan and the vision is different, like if you don't have a vision, and let's back up a little bit. I'm taking the host seat. I'm just used to this. I'm sorry. But like, if you don't have a vision for your life, what are you doing? I want to be successful to buy a house in Florida when I retire. Great goal. How are you going to do it? If you don't do that, you're going to wake up and you're 75 years old and you're going to say, I never got my house in Florida. You know, and I think the difference is clarity versus fogginess. And if you don't take time to, and don't get me wrong, that clarity is going to change. That vision is going to change. That road's going to change. We talked about that already, actually. But I think that's, and this is a very long-winded answer to your question of like the entrepreneurs that like what to expect. What do you want? Why are you doing this? What's your why? Like for me, what the why is to help people. I tell the team every Wednesday morning, we help people. That's what we do. We help people and we have fun doing it. And we provide amazing insurance services to people that hopefully they don't need it, but if they need it, we're there for them, right? And that's the mission, that's the vision, that's where we're heading towards.
There's so many different pieces that you brought up. And one of the core themes, right, of having clear vision, seeing through the fogginess, taking the steps that are necessary and prioritizing those steps to make sure that you realize, yeah, sometimes it's going to be foggy, but foggy when you know the path is different than foggy when you have no idea where you're going. And how I see that coming into play is kind of funny. Your friend, every single person that he hires, he sits down and makes a life plan. I had the weirdest reactions when I was starting up a couple of these businesses and beginning to not interview, but really learn who shares the same mission. And I used to ask people, the very first question, what do you want out of your life? Why do you want it? How does this have anything to do with it? Because they, I think, believed that they were in an interview, that it was up to them to prove to me that they could do it. I already knew they could do it. Plenty of people can do it. But few people can truly drive long enough on that road, day in, day out, some days that are clear, some days that are foggy. And the only people that are going to stay on that path are the ones that know that at the end of that road is exactly what they're looking for in their life or where they believe it is today. So a lot of the points that you brought up, I think, are critical to your success. And I think you've done a great job of outlining that and inspiring that with other people to the point that you've literally created an entire movement asking people about how did they find clarity in their lives and what is the point that they drive toward. But you also brought up something that you do extremely well that I think a lot of people that may not have been 147, that may have been a lower number, and they're terrified about, which is asking for help all the time. You have one of the biggest and most robust networks of people that I've ever seen. I moved back to this area to be excited to be around my family, to not even know if I was going to stay here. I talked with you, And within 3 days, you were like, you need to talk to this person for this person for that, and this person for that. And when you're done with that, here's 50 more. And every time that I talk to you, you just got done talking to a mentor, a networking group, you've started them. So I've got to ask, how did you learn the skill to ask for help?
Wow. Stump me, Mike. How did I learn to ask for this, or how did I learn the skill to ask for help? I think it just comes down to, it almost ties into your vision. Asking for help is like the cheat code. Why would you try to do something alone instead of ask somebody who's been there or who's doing it? And in my insurance journey, at least, like starting the business, I can go back and specifically name people that if it wasn't for this guy, I wouldn't have known how to get my licensing with the state, start the company, do all these things. This guy helped me. If it wasn't for this guy, I wouldn't have learned this amazing tool that changed our whole business. If it wasn't for this guy. And I think understanding that you don't have all the answers and that every single person in life or business that you ask a question to has been where you are or is working towards what you want to do. And I think you can get strategic with that, but you're going to run into situations where you just develop cool people and cool relationships. And like, I think about it all the time. One thing, this is diverting a little bit, but I promise we'll come back. One thing I've been thinking of, like, man, we joke about this all the time, but I'm just going to be like transparent. Like the last like year has been the craziest year of my life. Like sun up to sundown, especially now with our beautiful baby. Like, there's no more going to the office at 5 a.m. because I got to change a diaper at about that time and help my wife get her ready for daycare and all these things. And I remind myself that like where I am today is where I wanted to be. And that's been like the biggest blessing to come across that and remind myself of that, of like, man, today I got kicked in every way you could get kicked. I was on the ground and I was getting run over, and I got ran over so many times you wouldn't even know I was down there. But guess what? It's where I wanted to be. 3 years ago, I dreamed of being in this position. 3 years ago, I would have never dreamed of the relationships I've had now, or the cool people I've been able to meet in my life at 31, and the relationships that I have, and the people that call me and say, hey, like, I love the fact that I can. Here's the other mission in my life is just like I want to be a connector of people, and it's really cool that you said that, because I've never really talked about that. But like, man, I get all the time, like weekly. You know a plumber? Like I'm your insurance agent. Yeah, I know a plumber, and I know the guy you need to talk to. I know the guy who's going to take care of you. But like, I've just tried to position myself to just get to know people and make relationships, and that's part of the reason that I wanted to do this. Obviously to make the relationship myself, but to share it with all these people that watch our show and that are a part of the movement. But I don't know if I can directly answer your question of like where it came from. I think there was just a aha moment at some point in my life that was like, man, if I'm going to do what I want to do and make an impact and create a legacy for myself and my family and do good by the world and serve others and do all these things, like I have to talk to people that have done it, and that's like with the insurance podcast we have. Sean, who's my co-host, he was like convincing me for 6 months to do this. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. We just started an agency 6 months ago. I don't have time to do a podcast and whatever. We finally did it, but like it's changed my business in ways I couldn't even tell you. The relationships that we've made, the people that have 100 employees that take an hour to come on and I get to ask them questions. I have 2 employees, 2 team members. They have 100, but I'm learning from them. And that helps with my vision. That helps with creating relationships, and it helps with introducing cool people to cool people. And Mike, you just got to get to know, Bob, because Bob's a cool person. You're a cool person. And I think that's been one of the coolest, is epiphany the right word? Reflections. Like nothing gets me, and that's, again, there's a lot of reasons I wanted to start this podcast. Nothing gets me juiced up more than, and you and I have had this, and we don't need to drop names. We've had a few that I introduce Bob to Mike, and it's changed their life completely. And that's just the coolest thing, because all it took was me putting him in a group message and saying, Mike, meet Bob, Bob, meet Mike, please connect. I think you guys would be great. Great. Go to coffee. Next thing you know, you're referral partners. Next thing you know, you guys are working together on this project. I've had people that I'm not going to name, but I know people that I've introduced that have started businesses together. And like that's like, that all comes down to relationships and just putting myself out there and putting my hand out to say, hey, my name's Stephen, and who are you? And learning more about those people. But I can't really answer. You stumped me. I don't know like at what point, right? But I know the premise of what I've learned through that journey of just building relationships and making connections.
That's really cool. A thing that I think is amazing about that story is that a lot of people answer that in a really cliche way. Oh, well, Failure's taught me way more than success. Of course it has. Failure is learning. Success is just continuing onward. We just made a name for it because somebody else told you that whatever you were continuing through was good. But what I've seen with you is that you have somehow balanced this idea of failure without ever going, hey, I failed. I always hear you going, what did it teach me? Why did this happen, and what can I learn from it? What did this teach me?
Not why did it happen? What is it trying to teach me?
Bingo. You can always say it better. So we could talk for a very long time, but a thing that I also think is important is that the potency of the things that you've shared stay potent. So I'm not going to drag this out much longer, but I have...
Thank God. I like that seat over there. I don't really like this one.
I have one rapid fire question, or actually two rapid fire questions and one closer. So the first thing is your Instagram handle, InsureGuy315, is funny because whenever I talk to somebody in this area and I say, oh, yeah, my friend Stephen Turnbull, they go, oh, the insurance guy. And that's funny knowing you because if other people view you as 100% the insurance guy, what percentage of you do you view as the insurance guy?
What percentage of me do I view as the insurance guy?
How much of your life is being the insurance guy versus the many other things you've talked about?
20.
Wow. So what's the biggest part?
Impact.
Just impact. You're the impact guy.
God, these are good questions, man. I don't like these. I love the questions.
You sat down and you said, we need to get to know people better. And I would like for people to know you as well as I do.
I mean, I think I talked a lot about it. 20, I'm just throwing out there. Like I said, how cool to be in a position. There was a guy that I insured his new business. Okay. He's just started a landscaping company. I wrote his liability policy. Today, he has 17 trucks, 12 employees, massive business, and I went to his wedding. So that's a friendship. That's a relationship. You don't just invite everybody to your wedding, right? That was a meaningful relationship that was created through the vessel. And I want to clarify, like I don't say 20% insurance because I give 110% to the insurance agency and all that, but like we help people. And what naturally happens is we help people and it turns into relationships. I think the other part of it is I just love seeing people win. I just love, and like, yeah, I can connect you to that person because I know they're a great person. And I know you're a great person and that's going to be a great relationship. And I just love seeing people win. And we do that in the insurance agency every single day because we rest our head on our pillows at night knowing that we've set up their insurance policy. So if they call us and something catastrophic in their life is happening, we're going to be there for them. But at the same time, on the personal side that develops into and the relationships that I created, it's just relationships, connections, and people.
I think it's amazing. And I'm going to try and answer that in a way that I heard you say it. Maybe 20% of you is the insurance guy, but 100% of you is the person that's always seeking to be on the team of whoever's in front of them. And sometimes that happens to be through insurance. Sometimes that happens to be through listening and letting people be heard with the stories they have. And 100% of the time, it's about being real. And I think you nail all those.
That's cool of you to say. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you ready for your rapid fire?
I thought that was it.
You got one more.
Have I said I don't like being on this side of the mic?
Oh, it's a good thing I didn't ask you that. See, rapid fire is, do you consider yourself a business owner or an entrepreneur? And what's the difference? And you got to give the fastest answer you can go.
Entrepreneur. I think the difference in a business owner is you're just focusing on the business, that you're just going through the day-to-day. You own the business. You're the CEO. You're the president. You're not forward thinking. Like, I consider myself the entrepreneur because I am the entrepreneur in my life. I'm the entrepreneur in the business. I'm the entrepreneur in the boards that I'm on. I'm the entrepreneur in the relationships that I have, the networking group. Like, I'm just constantly thinking, how can we change? How can we adapt? How can we help people? How can we do better? You know, one of my good friends in the insurance industry, his slogan is want better, be better. And he has messaging around that. I think the business owner is someone that just clocks in at 9, does what they have to do to get to 5, and they have a business and maybe they make money, and that's great for them. The entrepreneur is just, what's next? What's next?
So, as promised, I think it's a great answer, but it was rapid fire.
You know me by now. I can't do rapid fire.
This is your closer. In one sentence, I need you to tell me who you are and what will be your legacy as of December 2025.
Can I say something?
It's your podcast. You can say what you want.
All right, I'll say something. I'll add something later. I want to put a challenge to people that are listening.
So much for one sentence, everyone.
Hit me with it again, and we'll do a rapid fire.
In one sentence, describe who you are and what your legacy will be as of today.
My name's Stephen Turnbull. I'm a husband, a proud father, and a proud friend. And my legacy is to make an impact on every person that I come across.
Everyone,
Can I say what I was going to say?
you can say what you're going to say.
Hold up. You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
That a lot of people think I'm crazy for? Like 3 years ago, I wrote my obituary.
You're going to put that in now? We
You just brought
now.
it up. You just brought it up.
What did it say?
I don't know. It's 3 years ago. I learned this from something else. By the way, just like everybody else, there's no new ideas. You just, what's the saying? Good artists borrow, great artists steal. I heard somebody talk about it, and it was during the time that I was considering leaving my family business, which was the hardest decision I ever made. And there was relationships that were lost because of that, and relationships that were hindered. I'm transparent about that. And during that time, I wrote my obituary because I heard somebody say, write your obituary. And we always talk about setting the goal and backing it into it. What better way to do it? That's your last thing. That's your last thing is your obituary. And what I wanted my life to look like and what I wanted that to say. And that's when I realized my current situation was not going to allow me to get to that obituary. And that was the pivotal moment for me.
Wow.
And now that we're recording this, I'm going to have to go back tonight and find it because it's in my Google Doc somewhere. But I wanted to add that because I think that you challenged me with that last question to think of that. But I wanted to add that because I think people hear that and are like, what? This guy's a weirdo. He's writing his obituary. But like, man, what do you want to be known for? What's your purpose? Write it down. Maybe you don't need to write your obituary and be as weird as Steven, but write down your purpose and what you want it to look like. Because guess what? My baby was born 8 months ago, and it feels like she was born yesterday. And I'm going to say that when she's 18, I'm sure. But like, time's a ticking, folks. Like, what's the purpose? What's the goal? And so I just wanted to share that. I'll shut up. I know I'm not a host of this podcast, so I apologize. But I would like to challenge everybody to consider that and to just look at that, because when you write shit down, it is my podcast, I can swear. When you write shit down, it can happen. When you see it in front of you, it can happen. When you think about it and just say, I'd like to do that. I'd like to get my second house in Florida. And you wake up and you're 75 years old. If you don't write it down and back into how you're doing, you're not going to do it. Mike, I don't like being in the hot seat over here. And this was your idea.
I think you
just
did
so everybody knows.
I think you did a nice job today.
You did a great job.
I appreciate that. And so I think the thing that I'm going to challenge you with is going to be go out, and when you look at that obituary, I want you to think not just what you would be okay with, But remember that a whole lot of people are going to be there thinking and listening to that thing. And it's going to be a big day in a lot of people's life. And I hope to be there myself. So until next time, for everyone listening, and as you've just heard the man himself, Stephen Turnbull, I'm going to take his words. Go out there, lead with purpose, and make an impact in someone's life today, even if it's your own. We'll see you next week.